Greetings, hello, happy Sunday. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Gaming Aroma Podcast. I'm your host KDB, once again, back for some rambling, some news recaps and gameplay talk. Hope everyone's doing okay. It is Sunday the 3rd of March. I was going to say February then, but obviously it's not February anymore because February disappeared in the blink of an eye and time is moving really fast and I hate it. But yes, it's Sunday the 3rd of March. It is a new month. Today it's my younger brother's birthday. Happy birthday, comrade, if you're listening to this. I will see you later on today. But people who are listening to this who don't know you, they don't care about that. So I'm going to move on to more important things, which is the weather. And it is a really sunny day today. I think possibly last week I just moaned about how the weather's been shit for like 2 weeks. Today, it is a beaming sunny day. It's still a bit chilly outside, but it's good. I'm feeling good. Done a bit of the housework today. Nice and early, because I'm always up really early on a Sunday. And me and the family are going out to B&M Bargains, which is like a staple of Sundays in the UK, if you're somebody like me. They have a good selection of toys and stuff in B&M Bargains, but it's a good place to go if you're just picking up something. They've got essentials, but also they've got a load of shit that you don't need, but it's good to pick up. And you can buy like a packet of funky biscuits or something like that while you're there. So yeah, probably do something like that. My wife is after a watering can, but none of that is related to gaming. This is there's some gameplay stuff that's going to be the focus of this episode because news-wise, like I was having to think about this for the last couple of days, and this has been mostly a really shit news for gaming news and the gaming industry. I mentioned on the first one of these how, I'm just so tired of the gaming industry, the business side of it. I'm interested in all that, but it's so tiring at the moment for all the obvious wrong reasons. The gaming industry, the business, the sales, the journalism side of it, and there's a lot of things to be tired of. And this week, I'm not going to dwell on it because, it's something that you could, and I might speak to one of my buddies and have like a long conversation about the industry, but I'm not going to do that this morning, on this fine Sunday morning, as I sip my new coffee. Yes, new fresh coffee. So I'm not going to dwell on it today, but there was, of course, rubbish news that both Sony and EA laid off employees. I don't know what the exact numbers were. I did have it here a minute ago. EA was reducing their workforce by almost 700 people and Sony by 900 people. Now, this is not going to be an attack on either of those companies. These layoffs, this is something that almost every single big publisher and studio have been doing. It's also a wider problem with the economy around the world. All businesses are making people redundant and reducing because people are spending less money, and the sort of business boom in various areas that happened during COVID has gone away, and there's lots of weird things happening in the world. People's habits are changing. People don't have any money to spend. Cost of living crisis. It's just, like I said, this is not a deep dive into that today. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to dwell on kind of sad things today. Really shit for everybody being laid off. Games have been cancelled as well. I think EA said that there was a Star Wars game by Respawn that was going to be cancelled, which some people think is the Mandalorian game, but I don't know. But, whatever Respawn do usually is really good, so that's a shame. And EA said they were going to focus on, I think this was EA, said they were going to focus on existing IPs that they've got. There's been a lot of stuff in the news recently about how all these big gaming budgets are becoming a huge issue, especially with licensed games like Star Wars and the superhero stuff, which effectively all goes back to Disney, where they've got to pay they license the game, so any money they make off the game, there's just a huge amount of it going back to Disney, back to the license holder. So a $300 million budget Star Wars game isn't necessarily viable when fewer people are buying games. And yeah, so they've cancelled games. Sony, obviously, in the last few weeks, the last month, they've been kind of in the news loads with their strategies. That's what I talked about in episode 1. They've cancelled loads of their live service games. They've said that there's no big first party games or big existing IPs coming in the next year. Doesn't mean there's not games coming, I'm sure there is, but we're probably going to see this year like a few more big games come out, and then there is going to be, I don't want to say like a barren wasteland, but we will see, I guess, the trickle down of this, and maybe towards the end of this year and next year might be kind of empty for big AAA games, or at least from summer onwards this year. But that doesn't mean no games are going to come out. It just means, smaller games will come out. There's always indies and stuff, and I've definitely got an indie to talk about today. So good luck, obviously, to everybody that's been laid off. It's, I've experienced this kind of thing firsthand myself, and so has my wife. Redundancies and layoffs. It's been there. Know what it's like. It's never good. As somebody like me who is, like I say, I have a broad interest in. I do have a broad interest in the business side, but I'm still, still a human. And at the end of the day, nothing takes away that it's really shit when this stuff happens. It's the shit side of capitalism, I suppose. And the problem when capitalism runs awry, and then suddenly has to just make these huge cuts. And usually it's the people at the bottom suffering. It's all a bit shit. But like I say, I don't want this to be a sad state of affairs. I'm sure things will pick up, things will balance out. They always do. I mean, the gaming industry is so huge. This is not like NFTs, having a crash and then completely crumbling and the whole business going away. It's not like Blockbuster Video and physical rentals, where technology has just changed so much that there's no way for the business to stay viable. This is gaming. This is the gaming industry. It's too ingrained in society and like the cultures of the world. It's not going anywhere. The gaming industry will adapt. It will grow. It will bounce back. It's certainly not going to crash into oblivion. It's just tough times. Cuts being made after the huge boom during the COVID period. So, but there's always light as well. Let's balance this out. So despite these horrible layoffs, there was a couple of really cool pieces of news. One that resonated with me quite a lot because I've just finished playing one of their games. And that news was that Toys for Bob have now separated out from Microsoft and Activision. Were they involved with Activision? I think they were. Yes, because they were potentially one of these Call of Duty studios, right? So Toys for Bob, who did the recent Spyro remaster and the Crash remaster and Crash Bandicoot 4, they were under Microsoft's ownership, and they announced that a deal had been made that allowed them to go independent, which is, I mean, that's amazing. Obviously, I know Toys for Bob were hit with some layoffs during when Microsoft did that run, when they laid off over 1,000 people or whatever it was. I think Toys for Bob had quite a few employees, and I know they shut down one of their offices, and then there was news coming around like, oh, they're going to be shut down. And then they said, no, we're just moving remote and we're just changing how we do things. And they announced that they're going independent, which is awesome. On their website, they posted a blog post which says, I'm just going to read it here. I'm going to try and be a bit more, like I say, this show is very relaxed. But when it comes to doing the news stuff, I feel like I shouldn't be lazy, right? I should read it properly. If I'm going to talk about news, I should get the facts correct. So I'm going to try and do that a bit more with the news. They posted on their website, we're thrilled to announce that Toys for Bob is spinning off as an independent game development studio. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner circle In a circle, in a child, in all gamers. Yeah, we pioneered new IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders, of course. We raised the bar for the best in-class remasters in Spyro, Reignited Trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft, and while we're in the early days of developing our next game and are ways from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, new gameplay experiences. Our friends at Microsoft and Activision have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we'll continue to work closely together as part of our future. So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community of players for always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure as an indie studio. Talk to you soon. So this, obviously, from a business sense, rather than sack everybody and lay everybody off and shut the whole thing down, Activision and Microsoft have been in conversations, and they're like, look, we can spin you off and you can go independent. They've probably agreed they've mentioned here, to make this news more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. So what that tells me is Microsoft have probably said, give us a first look at the stuff you're doing. We'll be happy to help, publish and all this kind of things, maybe help develop stuff if we're interested. So yeah, obviously Toys for Bob have done... built up enough of a cushion that they can do this, and that doesn't surprise me because Skylanders was huge. They must have raked in so much money from that. It was a while ago now. Skylanders, my wife liked Skylanders. This is obviously years ago, before my kid was born or anything, but yeah, she was a Skylanders fan. Let me have a look at here. Skylanders, let's look at sales. They released loads of expansions, obviously. So, as of February 2015, the Skylander series has crossed the threshold of 3 billion in sales. 175 million toys sold since 2011, making the series one of the top 20 highest selling video game franchises of all time. As of June 2015, over 250 million toys were sold. 2016, 300 million toys were sold. And the franchise has become the 11th biggest console franchise of all time. Yeah. So, those who sort of lived through the Skylanders phase will remember how huge it was. Obviously, were they the first ones? Because I guess Skylanders launched and then everybody started doing it, right? Disney Infinity came along, and then Lego Dimensions, was it? Those are the big ones. And when did Nintendo start doing Amiibos? Amiibo launch. Let's have a look here. Sorry, I'm just doing some live research because I feel like Skylanders set the trend, right? Nintendo Amiibo. Let's go to the Wikipedia. Good old Wikipedia. Yeah, 2014. That kind of blows my mind because it feels like Amiibo has been around a lot longer than that. Launched in November 2014, wireless communication storage protocol connecting figurines for Wii U, Nintendo 3DS. Skylanders was, did I just say 2011? Yeah, 2011. They definitely... That's crazy to me now, because Amiibos are still a huge thing now, right? They're not... I don't think they're as prevalent, but they still bring stuff out. Disney Infinity is obviously dead. Lego Dimensions is dead. Skylanders is dead, I suppose. The last expansion was in 2016. But they've done books, and apparently they did some animation, or were planning a film as well. So Skylanders was... that probably elevated and certainly gave Toys for Bob a cushion, which has put them in this position where they can do this. Subsequently they've done the Crash stuff and the Spyro Reignited thing, trilogy. But yeah, that blows my mind, actually, to think about how big of an impact. It was short-lived, relatively short-lived, sort of 6 years. But Skylanders made so much fucking money that it put them in probably a better position than many other studios out there. And like I said, this caught my eye because of one of the games I've played and finished this year is Spyro. So I have the Reignited trilogy. I bought it maybe closer to the time it came out. Played it for a little bit and then never really didn't finish it. Some other stuff came along, so I went back to it. I was like, I'm going to get through these games, and I had so much fun playing Spyro 1 again. That as a remaster or remake, it's done so good. It's got all the vibes of the classic platformer are there. It's challenging, but not like, tear your hair out challenging. Lots of stuff to collect. And so I was on a bit of a sort of had a bit of a buzz for Toys for Bob about me, and I thought I'm going to get to Spyro 2 and 3 and get through them. And then and this news got announced, and I just thought, great, like in the midst of all this crap, it's so awesome that a studio obviously as talented and creative as them have managed to avoid being completely shut down into oblivion. So I'm really excited, and these partnerships that they're talking about with Microsoft, good. There's nothing wrong with having a $1 trillion company be in favor of your work and supporting you in some way that they can, rather than shutting you down completely. So I'm very excited to see what happens there. So yes, like I mentioned, it's a bit of a light in the dark. Really, really happy for Toys for Bob. And then kind of similarly, Remedy were in the news again for being able to retain the IP or repurchase the IP for Control. So their game, Control, which is an awesome game, played it last year. Let's have a little look at the news article I've got here. So yeah, this is from Eurogamer. So Remedy Entertainment buys Control series rights from 505 Games for 17 million euros. That feels like an absolute steal when you think about the kind of popularity now of Alan Wake and this shared universe and the buzz around that. So yeah, that feels like a bargain. The rights acquisition, which includes those for publishing, distribution, marketing, cover the full Control franchise. Remedy's publishing agreement with 505 Games for Control 2 and Condor terminates immediately, and 505 will continue to serve as the publisher of Control until 31st of December this year, when the transition period ends. Remedy's acquisition announcement notes the approximate 17 million euros it's forking out for the rights to Control equals to the amount that 505 Games has paid for the development of the codename Condor and Control 2 to date, including a minor premium. Net purchase will be paid in 3 cash installments over the next 12 months. And the article says here, today's announcement does, of course, feel like a bit of history repeating itself in 2019 when Remedy revealed it had come to an agreement with Microsoft to acquire the rights to Alan Wake for 2.5 million. What a steal there as well. A move that resulted in the former Xbox exclusive jumping to other platforms before getting the remaster treatment and that long-awaited sequel. So yeah, Control 2 is in development. The Remedy-verse continues to grow, and that's awesome because, it's their game, it's their story, their creation, and now they can do whatever they want with it. And I don't know, this, with all the flux in the gaming industry, I do wonder if we're going to see more of this as, I don't know, publishers maybe don't want the responsibility and don't want to take the risks, but they figure out these deals where it's like, oh yeah, you can have it back, but we're still mates, right? Give us the first look and all that kind of thing. And maybe that's a more fruitful way to work. I mean, it's certainly better than being controlled, by the giant corporation. And I've said before, like on other shows and to friends, like the acquisitions that Microsoft and other studios and companies go through, it's like, yeah, they're scary and terrifying. They don't always mean the end of the world and the end of creativity. Sometimes creativity thrives from that stuff, but it is a risk because those companies are generally, fully in it for the profit. Whereas the developers themselves want to make some money, but it's their baby, it's their creations, so it's better when they're more in control of what happens to their creations. So yeah, another long conversation to be had there one day, I expect. So yeah, well done Remedy, very happy for you, very happy for Toys for Bob. That's it for news. Like I said, it's it was a bit of a shit news week, and I didn't want to dwell on it. And instead, I just wanted to talk a bit more about what I've been playing, some thoughts on stuff. Bluey. I've got to mention it. I just did a Gears Intel episode yesterday that covered 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, and I mentioned to my co-host there, Alex, and we were talking. I mentioned that I played Bluey on the Xbox as it came to Game Pass. As a parent, I'm obviously a huge fan of Bluey. It's one of the best animated TV shows for kids ever made. My son is a huge Bluey fan. My son has Bluey on the Nintendo Switch. Bluey came to Game Pass, and I tried to convince my son to play Bluey on the Xbox so that he could get all the achievements for me. My son wasn't interested in doing that. I was in continued competition with Steve from First Aid Spray, but it's sort of an unspoken competition in February. Steve was ahead. I thought, you know what? Last day of the month in February, I'm going to play Bluey, get that gamer score, and just pip Steve to the post. So I did. As a video game, it's basically what you'd expect. It's go here, pick up this, jump there, do that, done. And it's very easy. It captures the energy of the show massively. It's not a technical marvel as a video game. I've seen some people call it more like a mobile game masquerading as a console game, which I sort of see, maybe, but that maybe does kind of, that's a little bit harsh given the target audience, right? So, and it's not like it was 60 quid to buy. I think it was fairly cheap to buy, and I was playing it on Game Pass. So I just wanted to shout that out. There's an image for you. You can imagine me late on the 29th of February, because it was a leap year this year, on my sofa, 9:30, playing Bluey the video game, while my wife looked on with disgust. Yeah, I wanted to scope it out. You know, it's good to keep your finger on the pulse. I had seen my son playing it on the Switch, but yeah, I got to experience it for myself. Yeah, and it was a really quick bunch of gamer scores, so happy with that. What else? So I suppose the main thing I've been playing, and it's funny because although this is the main thing I've been playing this week, it's not the thing I was most excited to talk about. Look, it's early on a Sunday. You know this. Elden Ring. I did jump back to it after last week talking about that trailer and how I'm going to revisit it. I did. So I finished Tomb Raider Remastered. Or I finished Tomb Raider 1 in that remastered collection. Jumped back to Elden Ring, and I started having a go with my second character that I did, where I ran through and what's funny, so I played Elden Ring, didn't know really what I was doing, went and played Dark Souls 3 and 1, and then came back to Elden Ring, started a new character, and then breezed through it. I had a character with a claymore that I just, I guess, focused everything on, and I did really well with the bosses and got really far. But I went back to it, and I saw that my second character still had quite a long way to go before I got to the same position as my first character, which was far closer to the end of the game. So I reloaded back up my first character, which was a rapier build, like a blood rapier, like a poke slash build, I suppose. Is poke the thing, the way, what they call it? You know, where you poke forward and stab, a stab build. You can tell I'm not like an Elden Ring expert or anything like that, but I just have fun. I just have fun playing it. Don't hate me. So yeah, I went back to my character and tried to sort of familiarize myself with where I was, and realized that I probably needed to respec. So I went and respec'd my character, put everything, into some new stats that fully supported my rapier build, and yeah, that's turned out really well, because then I've started to storm through loads of things. So I basically, for those who play Elden Ring, there's 2 bosses for me to go to finish the game. What's the thing after the fire giant? Is his name Malekith, right? Malekith. I got to fight that dude, and then I presume that's right near the end, and then you just go on to fight the Elden Beast and finish the game. And I know I can do it, because I know that there's people that I know personally who are have all finished Elden Ring. It's a very completable game. I've just never got round to that final stage, so I'm going to do it. But before I did that, I started to venture off into the side area where you go and fight Melania, who I've never fought. So I reached her, got my ass handed to me, but thought, okay, I'm probably going to need to bring in some help to do this. So I'm going to try and beat Melania and then move on to the final bosses and finally finish the game. My hope is that by this time next week, by the next episode, I'll finally be sitting on that throne. I'll finally be calling myself Elden Lord, right? So cross your fingers for that. Pray for me, because Melania is no joke. But yeah, it's been really fun coming back to Elden Ring. Like, it is such a... I mentioned last time, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. It's like beautiful but ugly. It's tough but easy. It's funny but dull. It's such a mix of everything. It's just, I think, as a design experience, it has to be, yeah, you kind of have to soak it up and you have to expose yourself to it, because there's so much in there that is interesting and weird. And I've loved jumping back into that world, and it's kind of got me hyped for the DLC even more. I don't want to put myself in a position where I get bored of it again and then don't want to play the DLC. So I'm just going to finish the game as soon as possible, put it to the side, park it, then get excited for the DLC. There's lots of other stuff to play coming out. Obviously, the Alone in the Dark remake comes out. Well, not remake. That's not a remake, right? A reimagining, reboot. The new Alone in the Dark comes out later this month, so I'm excited for that. But in the meantime, Elden Ring continues to suck me in. What was I doing? So I reached, what's the area called? Haligtree, right? The Haligtree, that's before you get to Melania. The enemies there really started to give me a hard time, but there was one section in particular where I got to one of these points in these Souls games. You'll hit a point where you just keep dying. There's this an enemy that keeps getting you, or a section you just can't get past. I think I must have died like 20 times. It's maybe as I was about halfway down the Haligtree, and so I did the thing, what I usually do in situations like that, is I just legged it. I just ran past all the enemies, which there's no shame in, right? I mean, I guess they're supposed to be kind of skill checks and making sure that you're able to progress once you get down to the tough boss at the bottom. But, you know, I don't know. I can't be in this situation where I spend hours doing the same thing over and over again. It's not really what I enjoy in these games. So yeah, no shame, I legged it. Re-listening to Bonfireside Chat as well. Well, I say re-listening to, there's a bunch of episodes, because their season of that show, of that podcast, Bonfireside Chat is a Dark Souls and Elden Ring podcast, if you don't know. And you can use it like a companion, because they'll do whole episodes on each area of the game. And I'd only listened up to, I guess, the Fire Giant with the season, and then when I stopped playing Elden Ring initially, so I've gone back and I've started to listen to those new sections that I'm playing now, which has been really, really good. Love that show. But yeah, Elden Ring it's funny listening to some of my mates. Ark, if you're listening, you gunning for level 500. I think I'm a level 120 on my main character. I'm not going to be getting anywhere near level 500, but I just want to finish the game, and I'm nearly there. I really hope next week I can confirm that I've finally finished Elden Ring and joined basically every other person that's played it who has finished it. So I'm nearly there. I'll get there. I believe in myself. If I don't believe in myself, who will, right? Who will? Right, on to my main event, the thing that I really was very excited to talk about. And that is Balatro. So for those of you not in the know about Balatro, where's my little page on it here? Here we go. Balatro is a poker-themed roguelike deck-building video game developed by Local Thunk and published by PlayStack. Released on Microsoft Windows, PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Series X and Nintendo Switch on February 20th, 2024. So this is a game that I've heard a few people talking about on other podcasts. buddies of mine, Alex, my Gears Intel co-host, was tweeting about it as well. I think his tweet is what tipped me over the edge. So on at least three other gaming shows over the past couple of weeks, I've heard people talk about Balatro, this addictive poker card game that's a roguelike deck building game, and that it's got people addicted and they love it, and it's genius and simple, and they're losing, although it's pick up and play, they're losing so much time in it, and they're double dipping, they're picking it up on the Switch and playing it on their Xbox, and people really want it to come to mobile because it's just so accessible and kind of perfect for playing on your phone. So I heard about it, and I like playing poker in real life. I'm not like a poker expert, but I've played it plenty. I did really love, I don't know if anybody else remembers this, back in the day of Facebook Poker by Zynga, right? Or Zynga? There was a few years there where Facebook Poker was like, it was ginormous. Basically, most people I knew played Facebook Poker, at least at some point. And I had days. When was that popular? I need to date it, right? Facebook Poker, Texas. That's it. Texas Hold'em Poker. It's still on there, right? I'm just clicking it now. Can you still play it now? You can. Posted 17 hours ago. 57 million followers. I guess. Yeah, Zynga Facebook Poker is still play game. I'm just clicking this. Having issues, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I think my browser can't play it. Yeah, looks like it can't play in Chrome, which is dumb. But anyway. So it's still... God, these adverts on the Facebook Poker page are so shit. Oh, it looks so awful. But when did it launch? I need to know when. When was the boom? Here we go. Zynga Poker is a social game developed by Zynga, application for social networking site Facebook. It launched in 2007. Now that feels about right, because I remember playing this before I moved to Bristol, which would have been in 2010. And I remember late nights on my PC in my bedroom, like after work. I used to work at a pub as well, so I'd finish really late. And you could really easily, because you could see when people were online on Facebook, like on Messenger, you could see if they were playing. You could jump into games, jump into their table. You could invite them. I don't think you could play with real money. Maybe you could, but I never did. I just played with the virtual money. Absolutely hours playing with family and friends, playing Texas Hold'em Poker on Facebook. So yeah, there was a couple of years where I would play that most days. But anyway, so long way to a short point. Balatro arrives, and this feels like the first time since Facebook Zynga Poker that a virtual poker game has grabbed me. Now, it's poker themed. Like, you're not necessarily playing by the exact rules of poker. All I recommend is just playing it for yourself, because you could have zero knowledge of poker and still get so much out of this game. It's poker in video game-ized, I suppose, is the way to describe it, with all the things that come with video games, buffs and debuffs and special cards and, score to spend and upgrading, deck building, as I said. And yeah, I heard people talking about it, and then Alex tweeted about it, and I thought, right, okay, that's tipped me over the edge. I'm going to buy it. It's like 12 quid on Xbox. And within, the first 2 minutes, I was just like, oh shit, I'm going to have a problem here. Because, yeah. I think I just felt the same draw. I guess this is what people who've got gambling addictions, this is the type of feeling they feel. That sort of just one more hand. I was so close. Try again. So yeah, you score the most points by playing poker hands, but you don't have to beat anyone. You're just trying to beat the score. So you have to get like a minimum of 300 chips in your hand and in your round, and you've got 5 hands to play in a round, and you get like tarot cards, which add special effects and change the face of your card and change the suit and all the kind of funky things that you think would come with a video game immortalized into like a solitaire / poker themed card game. It has the whole thing has like a CRT filter. It's almost like if you imagine you went up to one of those virtual poker machines with the screen. It's like you're playing one of them, but I guess one from the early 2000s or the 90s. It's got the slight pixelated look to it all, to the art style. And yeah, so this game is obviously blown up and is starting to blow up. And I'm instantly hooked. Can't stop thinking about it. I want to play it. Like, I'm doing this podcast now, and I know we've got to go to B&M Bargains, but I'm like, when am I going to get my Balatro time in today? And this is why I want it on my phone. I need it on my phone because I don't think obviously I can't play it on cloud streaming at the moment through my Xbox, but yeah, just kind of blown away, smiling when I'm playing it. Like, it's really, really challenging and feels so good when you know, okay, so one round you have to get a score that's like, yeah, get 1,500 chips on this round. And your hand is so good with your upgraded and buffed cards that you just smash it and get 9,000 or something like that. And yeah, I posted a clip to Twitter of one of my best hands so far, because there is an achievement for getting 10,000 chips with one hand, which is difficult to do because I think I was on the final round of what's called a run. You basically run through like 4 tiers or something like that. And I'm pretty sure I was on the last one, and I fucked up the last one. I couldn't make it. I couldn't finish the round, but I had so much fun that I was like, right, we go again and start from the beginning, just another run. Yeah, just one more go, which turns into 10 more goes. Yeah, and I posted a clip of one of my best hands. Didn't get the 10,000 in one go, but it was 9,000 or something. And yeah, it's just, it looks cool. It sounds cool. You don't even need to listen. You can listen to a podcast. Listen to this podcast while you're playing it. Listen to music. I feel like this is so this year so far, I've played 16 games. I'm trying to complete as many games as possible this year. In terms of new games, what are the big new ones that I played? RoboCop, but I mean RoboCop came out late last year, but so RoboCop, the big one I suppose is Prince of Persia. That was my big recommendation so far in 2024. Like, I don't care who you are, like if you're a gamer and you like games, get Prince of Persia, whatever. It's on every platform, right? Get it. Balatro, get it. I don't care what you want to play on. Apparently it's really good to play on Switch because obviously you can, I don't know if it's touchscreen, but it's a very easy game to play handheld and take with you. You will not regret it. This will be the best 12 quid you've spent on a game in a long time. You don't need any knowledge of poker. You don't even need to be a fan of poker to play it. You just need to be a fan of fun video games. And yeah, get it. Report back to me. Let me know what you think. So I've only had like, I guess like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours with it. So I think there's still quite a few features maybe I haven't figured out yet or looked at. There's still a lot for me to learn. Don't think it has an online mode. Let me just check. No, it doesn't have an online mode. Now, I'm not massively into PvP these days, but this needs an online mode like yesterday. This is the sort of thing. If there's a way you can play this against each other, this needs to happen. This will reignite that spark of the Facebook Zynga Texas Hold'em generation and would be a million times better. I could see losing hours playing this game. You could have game nights with it. You could have groups. Yeah, this is so people that were recommending this were like, easy game of the year contender already, definitely in the top 10. Alex was saying the same thing. Yep, it's way out in front for game of the year so far in 2024. And I just thought, for a card game, right? How? I played it and I'm like, yep, this is up there. I really love Prince of Persia. This is obviously it's a very different type of video game. It's not AAA, it's not action adventure or anything like that. But yeah, if you love games, you will appreciate what this is doing. And I can't wait to play it some more. Please bring an online mode. Who's the developer? Local Thunk, if you're listening, which I know you're not, but I'll tweet you. Online mode when, PvP mode when. I guess you could do co-op as well. There's got to be a way to work co-op into this, to Frankenstein it somehow. But yeah, so let's just have a little look here. So, because I don't know anything massively about how it was made. I've just heard people talking about it on Wikipedia. The development and release, oh my God. One person developer. Okay, so this kind of ties back to something I was talking about possibly in episode 1. No, maybe on an episode of Gears Intel where we touched on the industry layoffs. And no, it was the acquisitions. And I have constantly been one of these guys that is trying to sort of remind people like, look, incredible, viral, successful games are continuously coming out in the past few years. And you think of Among Us, you think of Vampire Survivors, Lethal Company, right? These games that people just create magic with, and then they're going to have big publishers sniffing around, offering them big money, and they're going to make, these creators are just going to make their way in the industry despite all the acquisitions, all the layoff. Kind of creatives will always break through. They always do. So yeah, for me to just read that, that's kind of blown my mind. One person developer. Well done, you. Yeah, big congratulations. Local Thunk had developed Balatro over 2.5 years prior to release. One of several games they had developed over the previous 10 years and shared with friends. Balatro had started based on the idea of a Cantonese card game, Big Two, which has players playing a big number of cards to create the poker-like hands while adding elements to play it online. Sorry, my eyes are getting terrible. I feel like one of those people that needs the big text on their screen now, right? They then saw the number of roguelike deck builders on Steam, and while they didn't play, they looked at videos like Luck Be a Landlord, a roguelike built around a slot machine concept in which the player had limited spins to reach a target value on each round. They were inspired to transition their Big Two approach to a single-player roguelike deck builder, removing the online play. Ooh, okay. Consciously avoiding playing any of the other deck builders to avoid taking ideas from those games. They had only played Slay the Spire near the end of development to understand how that game implemented its control scheme. About a year prior to release, Local Thunk quit their day job to focus on finishing Balatro to put on a resume. They uploaded an early build to Steam, and while eventually led to major streamers playing the game and providing pre-release publicity, as a result of this publicity, Local Thunk incorporated some player feedback into the final version of the game, such as adding boss battles, though they also rejected many ideas. Shortly after the game's release, Balatro's PEGI rating was changed from 3 to 18 plus for prominent gambling imagery. Yep, that makes perfect sense, due to PEGI's strict rules on portraying gambling, causing the game to be removed from sale from certain territories. Publisher PlayStack stated that they had discussed the game's content with PEGI prior to release, causing its initial 18 rating to be lowered to 3. While being based on poker, the game does not portray any form of gambling and intended to appeal the re-rating. I mean, yeah, I suppose so, but as I mentioned, the addictive nature of this, you're gambling your hand. You're not gambling any real money. So you're gambling in the same way I suppose you would any other game, but I think because the way it's presented is it looks like a card game, like a casino, like a quote unquote real gambling scenario. I don't know, what does that do to the human mind? So I'm not the expert to ask about that, but I can see why PEGI would be like, yeah, you can't have 3-year-olds playing this. But I don't know, maybe that should be up to the parents to, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Balatro has received universal acclaim. Alex from Nintendo World Report called it a smart game with deep mechanics and fast-paced. Jordan Helm from Hardcore Gamer called it addictive and expertly crafted. Within 8 hours of release, the game had made over $1 million in gross revenue, according to publisher PlayStack, their fastest-selling game to date. Within 3 days, over 255,000 copies had been sold. So this game has now been out just over 2 weeks. I am one of those people who've bought it. Yep, scores are all in the 90s, 5 out of 5. Go and get it. So, I mean, look, I've started this episode with the horrible state of the games industry. You want to support the games industry? Go and buy this fucking game. Like, it's so much fun. The fact that it's made by one guy just blows my mind even more. I'm so happy for them. Yeah, I can't wait to play more. And this is the type of thing, it's like they play their cards right. Hey, no pun intended. This is a new franchise. There's a Balatro 2. There's updates. That maybe they do think about bringing back that online mode and the PvP mode. Yeah, this is... I cannot recommend it enough. I can't wait to play it some more. And yeah, look out for more clips on my Twitter of me sharing, saying, yes, I finally got the 10,000 or some shit like that. Because, yeah, as much as Elden Ring is sucking me in, Balatro and its Joker cards, all that comes with it. Oh, baby, it's got its hooks in me. Right, I'm going to call it for there. I've got to get to B&M. Going to go find something that I don't need to buy and buy it. You know, maybe like a candle or something, or like a fake house plant. And yeah, I hope everyone has a happy Sunday. Thank you as always for listening. Please, give the podcast a rating, subscribe. I don't know what the plan is for this. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'd love to talk to more people. As I mentioned before, that I am going to have people on. There was maybe going to be someone this week, but it's fine. Just schedules and stuff. Going to have conversations with people. Going to do topic episodes and all that kind of stuff. I have just put out a new episode of Gears Intel. I'm working on a new episode of Tapes from the Wastes, which will be out either today and tomorrow as well. I think Eric, who's my buddy on Tapes from the Waste, will be putting out another episode of Starfield Sandwich, which I won't be on that episode, but coming up we are going to do a 6 months of Starfield episode where we get together. First Aid Spray, the Fast Fam have just done, I think they've done Code Veronica, the comic book. I wasn't on that episode, but I should be, making myself known there on some new podcast episodes soon. Come and follow all the other shows. Follow me on Twitter, K_D_B_. I am still on Twitter for now, even though it's the bane of my life. Right, coffee, all done. Have a fantastic Sunday, everybody, and I'll catch you next week. Bye bye.